We arrive at the camera set in the booth. I'm going to show you some very unique cameras in the studio system camera. This is the Htc F5500. This is our first studio camera with a super 35mm sensor. This is a 3840 by 2160 resolution. In other words, it's an ultra high definition. But by having a single sensor, Super 35, allows us to have the artistic look of very shallow depth of field. But the camera integrates with the rest of the lineup of the broadcasting cameras that we have. It uses all of the CCUs that we have in the portfolio of system cameras. It could be the Htc 3500 or 5500, and it's capable of doing 2 times up to 120 frames per second in 4K, which will give you about 4 times or 5 times super slow motion, depending whether you are playing at 30p or 24p. It has a motorized neutral density structure in the front of the camera, exactly the same as the one we have in Venice. And it covers all of the color gamut, the cinematographic gamut that we have in the cinema line camera, so that you can match this type of cameras with the material that we are shooting for movie making in the cinema line. In this area, I'm actually presenting 2 different devices. One is the Htc 5500 system camera, studio camera, which is our flagship camera with 3 230-inch 4K sensors with 2020 color space or color gamut, and capable of also utilizing other color gamut for cinematography application. This camera is embedded in the new high-definition lens adapter that facilitates the insert of the camera in a very rapid fashion. Notice, compared to the previous generation of HDLA adapters, this has a control system built into the HLA. Therefore, you can control most of the aspects of the camera directly from the adapter, as opposed to using the controls in the camera. Also, very easy to detach the front of the lens in order to turn the unit into a portable studio camera. The Htc 5500 camera had capability to do 8 times super slow motion. In other words, 320 frames per second. This camera is the Htc 3500, which can be upgraded to become the 5500. But in its implementation, the 3500 is capable of doing 4 times super slow motion, which is 240 frames per second. Otherwise, the sensors, the color specifications, color gamut, dynamic range is identical to the 5500. Only certain features are different from the 5500 because they may not need it for broadcast applications. The 5500 is more for high-quality sporting applications. This camera is embedded into a lower-cost HDLA. It's a brand new high-definition large lens adapter, but it doesn't have, it's less expensive than the other one, or more cost efficient, because it doesn't have all the control capabilities. You can actually, you will have to control the camera directly manipulating the controls in the back. But otherwise, it's identical in performance. The camera can be inserted or extracted very rapidly in this generation of HDLAs. Htc 3500 and Htc 5500 had the capabilities of exchanging the side panels of the camera. You can utilize wireless transmission side panels, triax side panels, fiber connection side panel. But that added to the cost. That flexibility in hardware added to the cost of the system, of the camera. For those markets that do not require that flexibility, we introduce now, and this is a new member of the studio camera. This is the Htc 3200. The sensors, the performance is identical to the 3500, but has a few features removed it can only be used in fiber connection configuration, and it doesn't have any super motion capability, doesn't have any high frame rate capability. But other than that, is identical in performance. Signal to noise ratio, dynamic range is exactly the same as the HTC 3500, but at a lower cost of ownership.